সিস্টেমের ওষুধগুলা পড়া। তাই আমি আবার লাইভে চলে আসলাম। বললাম আপনাদেরকেও দেখাই, আপনাদের সাথেও শেয়ার করি। আপনারাও জানেন, আপনারাও শিখেন। যদি আপনাদের কোনো সময় কোনো কিছুর প্রয়োজন হয়, কোনো রোগের বিষয়ে জানতে হলে, তাহলে তো আপনারা এই লাইভ থেকেও জানতে পারতেছেন। আর কোনো রোগের যদি কোনো নিরাময় না পান, তাহলে এই বই থেকে হতেও পারে কোনো রোগেরও নিরাময়ও পেতে পারেন, রাইট? So let's start our today's live.
Must be wrapped up with warm cloths. Mouth. Tongue enlarged, deep. Irregular ulcer. Modular swelling. Mouth hot and dry, little thirst. Dose. Third potency. Arsenicum laudatum iodide of arsenic is to be preferred for persistently irritating, corrosive discharges. The discharge irritates the membrane from which it flows and over which it flows. The discharge may be fetid, watery, and the mucous membrane is always red, angry, swollen, itches and burns, carrot influenza, hay fever, old nasal catarrh, and catarrh of tenidal ear. Swelling of tissues within the nose. Hypertrophied condition of eustachian tube and deafness. Senile heart, myocarditis and fatty degeneration. Pulse shorty. Chronic otitis. It seems probable that in arsenic iod, we have a remedy most closely allied to manifestations of tuberculosis. It will be indicated by a profound prostration, rapid, irritable pulse, recurring fever and sweats, emaciation, tendency to diarrhea. Chronic pneumonia, with abscess in lung. Hectic, debility, night sweats. This remedy is also to be remembered in vices with hoarse, racking cough and profuse expectoration of a pululent nature, and attended with cardiac weakness, emaciation and general debility, in chronic, watery diarrhea in tisical subjects, in cases of emaciation with good appetite, in amenorrhea, double anemic palpitation and dyspnea. In chronic pneumonia, when abscess is about to form. Great emaciation. Threatened pyemia. Pyrog, methyl, blue. Head. J-carat vertigo, with tremulous feeling, especially in aged. Nose. Thin carrot spatcry, irritating carrot excoriating discharge from anterior and posterior nares, sneering. Hay fever. Pollenin. Chronic nasal catarrh, swollen nose, profuse, thick, yellow carrot discharge, ulcers, MCM tilde brain sore and excoriated. Aggravation by sneezing. Throat. Burning in pharynx. Tonsils, swollen. Thick membrane from fauces to lips. Breath fetid, glandular involvement. Diphtheria. Eyes and ears. Scrofulous ophthalmia. Otitis, with fetid, corrosive discharge. Thickening of tympanum. Burning, acrid coryza. Stomach. Pain and pyrosis. Vomiting an hour after food. Nausea distressing. Pain in pneumonia after grip. Aphonia. Arson. Lod. Arson. Med. Fever. Recurrent fever and sweats. Drenching night heats. Pulse rapid, feeble, weak, irregular. Chilly, cannot endure cold. Skin. Dry, scaly, itching. Marked cieck. Foliaceous 7I of Efkin in large scales, leaving a raw exuding surface beneath. Ichthyosis. Enlarged scrofulous glands. Venereal bubo. Debilitating night sweats. Eczema of the beard, watery, oozing, itching, worse, washing. Emaciation. Psoriasis. Relationship. Compare. Tuberculinum. Antimon. Iod. In hay fever, compare, Aurelia, naphthalin, rosa, sang. NIT. Dose. Second and third trituration. Arsenicum metallicum metallic arsenic, arouses latent syphilis. Periodically very marked, symptoms recur every 2 and 3 weeks. Weakness. Swollen feeling of parts. Head. Low-spirited, memory weak. Desire to be alone. Annoyed by visions, causing her to cry. Head feels too large. Left-sided headache up to eyes and into ears. Headache worse stooping and lying down. Sedematous swelling of forehead. Face. Red, itching, burning and bloated. Eyes swelled and watery, burn with coryza. Eyes weak, day and gaslight unpleasant. Mouth, the tongue coated white, and shows imprint of the teeth. Mouth sore and ulcerated. Abdomen. Sore pain in liver goes through to shoulders and spine. Pain in spleen down to groin. Pain in breast extends to hip and spleen. Diarrhea, burning carrot terry stools with relief of pain. Arsen. Sul. Flav. Artem. Vul. Arsenicum sulfuratum flavum yellow sulfuret of arsenic. Orpiment, difficult respiration. Skin chafed about genitals. Leukodkma and squamous syphilides. Sciatica and pain around the knee. Relationship. Compare, Ars, Sulf. Rug, influenza with intense catarrh symptoms, great prostration and high temperature, fluent discharges, psoriasis, acne, and sciatica. Chilly even before a fire. Itching in various parts. Dose. Third trituration. Artemisia vulgaris mugwort has some reputation as a remedy for epileptic conditions and convulsive diseases of childhood and girls at puberty. Locally and internally is injurious to eyes. Petit mal. Epilepsy without aura, after fright and other violent emotions and after masturbation. Several convulsions close together. Somnambulism. Gets up at night and works, remembers nothing in the morning. Caliphos. Head. Drawn back by spasmodic twitchings. Mouth drawn to left. Congestion of brain. Eyes. Colored light produces dizziness. Pain and blurring of vision, better, rubbing, worse, using eyes. Female. Profuse menses. Violent uterine contractions. Spasms during menses. Fever. Profuse sweat, smelling like garlic. Relationship. Compare. Absinthe, Sina. Cicuta, dose. First to third potency. Said to act better when give with wine. Arum dracontium, arum trifilum, arum dracontium, green dragon. Head. Heavy, shooting pain in ears, aching pair behind right ear. Throat. Dry, sore, worse swallowing. Raw and tender. Continued disposition to clear throat. Croupy, hoarse cough with sore throat. Urinary. Irresistible desire to pass urine, burns and smarts. Respiratory. Hoarseness, excessive mucus in larynx. Asthmatic at night. Expectoration thick, heavy. Dose. First potency. Arum trifilum jack in the pulpit, anum maculatum, italicum, dracontium, have the same action as the trifilum. They all contain an irritant poison, causing inflammation of mucous surfaces and destruction of tissue. Acridity is the keynote of the kind of action characteristic of arum. Head. Boar's head in pillow. Headache from too warm clothing, from hot coffee. Eyes. Quivering of upper eyelids, especially left. Nose. Soreness of nostrils. Acrid, excoriating discharge, carrot producing raw sores. Eye carrot O's obstructed, must breathe through mouth. Boring in the nose. Cory slasher, discharge blood streaked, watery. Nose completely stopped, with fluent, acrid discharge. Hay fever, with pain over root of nose. Large scabs high up on right side of nose. Face feels chapped, as if from cold WND, feels hot. Constant picking at nose until it bleeds. Mouth. Raw feeling at roof and palate. Lips and soft palate sore and burning. Lips chapped and burn minus. Arum tripulum arandoing. Corners of mouth sore and cracked. Tongue real, sore, whole mouth raw. Picking lips until they bleed. Saliva profuse, acrid, corroding. Throat. Swelling of some maxillary glands. Constricted and swollen, burns, raw. Constant hawking. Hoarseness. Expectoration of much mucus. Lungs feel sore. Clergyman's sore throat. Voice uncertain, uncontrollable worse, talking, singing. Skin. Scarlet rash, raspy, bloody surfaces anywhere. Modalities. Javors, north sedvisist wind, lying down. Relationship. Compare, ammon. Carb, alienus, sepa, antidotes, buttermilk, acid. AC, pulse. Dose. 3rd to 30th potency. Arando reed, a remedy for catarrhal states. Hay fever. Head. Itching, falling off of hair, roots of hair painful. Pustules. Perinoxypat extends to right ciliary region. Deep-seated pain in sides of head. Ears. Burning and itching in auditory canals. Eczema behind ears. Nose. Hay fever begins with burning and itching of palate and conjunctiva. Annoying itching in the nostrils and roof of the mouth. Iviathea. Coryza, loss of smell. The /mer. Sneezing, itching of nostrils. Mouth. Burning and itching, bleeding of gums. Ulcers and exfoliations in the commissaries. Fissures in tongue. Stomach. Coldness in stomach. Longing for acids. /antim, Oz, China, Foz. Arum 10 asafsatida abdomen. Movement as from something alive. Flatulence, pain at pubic region. Stool. Greenish. Burning at anus. Diarrhea of nursing children. 7 meters / calc, Foz. Urine. Burning. Bed sediment. Like. Male. Bane in spermatic cord after embrace. Female. Menses too early and profuse. Neuralgic pains from face to shoulders and pubis. Desire with vaginal pruritus. Respiratory. J3 dyspnea, cough, bluish expectoration. Burning and pain in nipples. Extremities. Itching, burning, edema of hands and feet. Burning and swelling of soles. Copious and offensive sweat of feet. Skin. Eczema, itching and crawling, especially of chest, upper extremities. Fissures in fingers and heels. Relationship. Compare, Anthoxantum sweet vernal grasser popular medicine for hay fever and coryza. Lilium. Sepa, Sahad, Silica. Dose. 3rd to 6th potency. Asafoetida gum of the stinkasand, the flatulence and spasmodic contraction of stomach, and esophagus with reverse peristalsis are the most marked symptoms. In its selection, its relation to the hysterical and hypochondriacal patients must be borne in mind. Besides these superficial symptoms, it has been found to affect favorably deep ulcerations, caries of bones, especially in the syphilitic organism. Here, the extreme sensitiveness and terrible throbbing, nightly pains, guiding to its use. Head. Irritable. Complains of her troubles. Sensitive. Boring above eyebrows. Pressive pain from within outward. Asafoetida eyes. Orbital neuralgia, beta, pressure and rest iritis and intraocular inflammations, with boring, throbbing pains at night. With cutting in, burning in stomach and region of diaphragm. Gurgling and rolling of wind, which escapes afterwards with loud and difficult eructation. Female. Mommy turgid with milk in the unimpregnated. Deficient milk, with oversensitiveness. Rectal, with oversensitiveness. Rectum. Distended, griping, with hunger. Obstinate constipation. Pain in diarrhea, and regurgitation of food. Chest spasms, as if lungs could not be fully expanded. Palpitation more like a tremor. Bones. Darting pain and caries in bones. Periosteum painful, swollen, enlarged. Ulcers affecting bones, thin, Icarus pus. Icarus pus. Asafsatida European skin, itching, itching, ulcers painful on edges. Suppressed skin symptoms produce nervous disorders. Modalities. Eukaryote and ulcer, night, from touch, left side, during rest, warm applications. Better, open air, from motion, pressure. Relationship. Antidotes. China. Mercure. Compare, Moses, Chin, NCR, ET asterisk, Aurum. Dose. 2nd to 6th potency. Assam European snake root, a remedy for nervous affections, loss of energy, with the excessive cerathism. Scratching on silk or linen or paper unbearable. Pains and spasmodic muscular actions. Nervous deafness and asthenopia. Cold shivers from any emotion. Feels as if parts were pressed together. Tension and contractive sensations. Always feels cold. Mind. Thoughts vanish, withdrawing pressure in forehead. Sensibility increased, even from mere imagination. Head. Compressive iron. Tension of scalp, hair painful. China. Coryza, WD sneezing. Eyes. Feel stiff, burn, feel cold. Better, in cold air or water, worse, sunlight and wind. Darting pains in eyes after operations. Asthenopia. Is. Sensation as if plugged up. Catarrh with deafness. Stomach. Loss of appetite, flatulence, irritation and vomiting. Desire for alcoholic drinks. Smoking tobacco tastes bitter. Nausea, worse after eating. Clean long. Great faintness. Accumulation of cold, watery saliva. Papyrus syriaca 105 rectum. Strings of odorless, yellow mucus pass from bowels. Diarrhea of tough mucus. Undigested stools. Perhaps. Female. Menses too early, long-lasting, black. Violent pain in small of back. Tenacious, yellow leukorrhea. Respiratory. Nervous, hacking cough. Short respiration. Back. Paralytic pain in muscles of nape of neck. Weakness, with staggering. Fever. Chilliness, single parts get icy cold. Easily excited perspiration. Modalities. Worse, in cold dry weather, penetrating sounds. Better, from washing, in damp and wet weather. Relationship. Compare, Icarotkak, especially in diarrhea, silica, Nux, China. Dose. 3rd to 6th potency. Asclepias syriaca silkweed, a remedy for dropsy, hepatic, renal or cardiac and post-scarlatinal, causes diaphoresis and augments the urinary secretion. Acute rheumatic inflammation of leg, joints. Intermittent, pressing down uterine pains. Head. Feels as if a sharp instrument were thrust through from temple to temple. Constriction across forehead. Nervous headache, after suppressed perspiration, followed by increased urine, with increase of specific gravity. Headache from retention of the feet matters in system. Relationship. Compare, Asclepias vince foxicum. Swallowwurtzinnenenema gastrointestinal minus. 106 Asclepias seer. Asclepias tub. Assignment a try. Written, producing vomiting and purgation. Useful in dropsy, diabetes, great thirst, profuse urination. Dose. Tincture. Asclepias tuberosa pleurisy root, its action on the chest muscles, is most marked, and has been verified. Sick headache, with flatulence in stomach and bowels. Dyspepsia. Bronchitis and pleurisy come within its range. Catarrhal states from cold and damp weather. Irritation of larynx with huskiness, grip, with pleuritic pain. Respiratory. Respiration painful, especially at base of left lung. Dry cough, throat constricted, causes pain in head and abdomen. Pain in chest, shooting downward from left nipple. A general eliminative remedy, acting specially on sudoryporous glands. Chest pains are relieved by bending forward. Spaces between ribs close to sternum tender. Lancinating pain between shoulders. Catarrh, with frontal headache. And sticky yellow discharge. Stomach. Fullness. Pre-sir, weight. Flatulence after meals. Sensitive to tobacco. Rectum. Catarrhal dysentery, with rheumatic pains all over. Stool smell like rotten eggs. Extremities. Rheumatic joints give sensation as if adhesions being broken up on bending. Relationship. Compare, Bryannia, Dulk. Dose. Tincture and first potency. Asimina trilaba pawpaw produces a series of symptoms much like scarlet fever, sore throat, fever, vomiting, scarlet eruption. Asimina trilaba asparagus officinalis 107 tonsils and submaxillary glands enlarged with diarrhea. Desire for ice-cold things. Hoarseness. Acne. Itching in evening on undressing. Relationship. Compare, capsic, Beeclid. Asparagus officinalis common garden asparagus, its marked and immediate action on the urinary secretion is well known. It causes weakness and cardiac depression. Rheumatic pains. Head confused. Coryza, with profuse, thin fluid. Aching in forehead and root of nose. Migrainous morning headache with scotoma. Throat feels rough, with hawking copious, tenacious mucus from throat. Urine. Frequent, with fine stitches in orifice of urethra, burning, of peculiar odor. Cystitis, with pus, mucus and tenesmus. Lithiasis. Heart, palpitation, with oppression of chest. Pulse weak, pain about left shoulder and heart, associated with bladder disturbances. Great oppression in breathing. Hydrothorax. Extremities. Rheumatic pain in back, especially near shoulder and limbs. Pain at acromion process of left scapula under clavicle and down arm, with feeble pulse. Relationship. Antidote. Ian. APIs. Compare, Physalis alkenji wintercherry in uricis, lithiasis, has marked diuretic action. Digital, sarsap, spigelia. 108 Aspidosperma astacus fluv. Ast. Rub. Aspidosperma quibrico, the digitalis of the lungs. Hail. Removes temporary obstruction to the oxidation of the blood by stimulating respiratory centers, increasing oxidation and excretion of carbonic acid. Pulmonary stenosis. Thrombosis of pulmonary artery. Uremic dyspnea. An effective remedy in many cases of asthma. It stimulates the respiratory centers and increases the oxygen in the one lud. Want of breath asterisk during exertion is the guiding symptom. Cardiac asthma. Relationship. Compare. Coca. Arsenic. Coffee. Catalpa difficult respiration. Dose. First trituration or tincture, or a spidospermin hydrochloride 1 grain CF elixtrit. Every hour for a few doses. Astacus foveatilis cancer. Astacus crawfish. Skin symptoms most important, urticaria. Skin. Nettle rash over whole body. Itching. Crustulacica, with enlarged lymphatic glands. Erysipelas, and liver affections. Ex-fifth nettle rash. Swelling of cervical glands. Jaundice. Fever. Inward chilliness, very sensitive to air, worse uncovering, violent fever, with headache. Relationship. Compare, Bombi.X caterpillar utching, of whole body. Urticaria. APIs, Rus, Nat M, Iloma. Antidote, poison oak. Dose. 3rd to 30th potency. Asterias rubens red starfish, a remedy for the siccolic diathesis, flabby, lymphatic constitution, flabby with red face. Lancinating pains. Asterias rubens nervous disturbances, neuralgias, chorea, and hysteria come within the range of this remedy. Has been used for cancer of the breast, and has an unquestioned influence over cancer disease. Excitement in both sexes. Head. Cannot bear contradiction. Shocks in brain, throbbing, heat in head as if surrounded by hot air. Face. Red. Pimples on side of nose, chin and mouth. Disposition to pimples at adolescence. Female. Colic and other sufferings cease with appearance of flow. Breasts swell and pain in breasts, worse left. Ulceration with sharp pains, piercing to scapulae. Pains down left arm to fingers, worse motion. Excitement of sexual instinct with nervous agitation. Nodes and indurations of mammary gland, dull aching, neuralgic pain in this region. Conium. Chest. Breasts swollen, indurated. Neuralgia of left breast and aim. Brom. Pain under sternum and in muscles of precordial region. Left breast feels as if pulled inward, and pain extends over inner arm to end of little finger. Numbness of hand and fingers of left side. Can be even in ulcerative stage. Acute, lancinating pain. Axillary glands swollen hard and knotted. Nervous system. Gait unsteady, muscles refuse to obey the will. Epilepsy, preceded by twitching over whole body, stool constipation. Ineffectual desire. Stool like olives. Diarrhea, watery brown, gushing out in jet. Skin. Destitute of pliability and elasticity. Itching spots. Ulcers, with fetidica. Acne. Psoriasis and herpes zoster worse left arm and chest. Enlarged axillary glands, worse, at night and in damp weather. Relationship. Antidotes, plum, zinc. Compare, conium, carbo, oz, conjurengo. Incompatible, nux, kofka. 110 aster. Rub. Astragalus mul. Aurum met. Modalities. Ivers, coffee, night, cold damp weather. Left side. Dose. 6 potency. Astragalus mollissimus purple or woolly loco weed, irregularities in gait paralytic affections. Loss of muscular coordination. Head. Fullness in right temple and upper jaw. Pain over left eyebrow. Painful facial bones. Dizzy. Pressive pain in temples. Pain and pressure in maxillae. Stomach. Weakness and emptiness. Burning in esophagus and stomach. Extremities. Purring sensation in right foot outer side from heel to toe. Icy coldness of left calf. Relationship. Compare, Aragalus lamberti white locoweed ratoweed, Barata, oxytropes. Dose. 6 potency. Aurum metallicum, metallic gold, given full play, aurum develops in the organism by attacking the blood, glands, and bone, conditions bearing striking resemblance to mercurial and syphilitic infections, and it is just for such deteriorations of the bodily fluids and alterations in the tissues that aurum assumes great importance as a remedy. Like the victim of syphilis, mental states of great depression are produced by it. Hopeless, despondent, and great desire to commit suicide. Every opportunity is sought for self-destruction. Exostosis, caries, nightly bone pains. Especially cranial, nasal, and palatine. Glands swollen in scrofulous subjects. Palpitation and congestions. Frequently indicated in secondary syphilis and effects of mercury. This use of gold as an anti-venereal and anti-scrofulous remedy is very old, but has been well-nigh forgotten by the old school until rediscovered and placed on its scientific basis by homeopathy, and now it can never be lost again. When syphilis is implanted on the scrofulous constitution, we have one of the most intractable morbid conditions, and gold seems to be especially suited to the vile combination. Ennui. Ozana. Sexual hyperesthesia. Arteriosclerosis, high blood pressure, nightly paroxysms of pain behind sternum. Sclerosis of liver, arterial system, brain, mind. Profound despondency, with thoroughdiet.tgust of life, and thoughts of suicide. Talks of committing suicide. Great fear of death. Peevish and vehement at least contradiction. Anthropophobia. Mental derangements. Constant rapid questioning without waiting for reply. Pining boys, low-spirited, lifeless, v/eek memory. Cannot do things fast enough. Oversensitiveness, staff. To noise, excitement, confusion. Head. Violent pain in head, worse at night, outward pressure. Roaring in head. Vertigo. Tearing through brain to forehead. Pain in bones extending to face. Congestion to head. Boils on scalp. Eyes. Extreme photophobia. Great soreness all about the eyes and into eyeballs. Double vision, up a half of objects invisible. Feel tense. Sees fiery objects. Violent pains in bones around ISF. Interstitial keratitis. Vascular cornea. Pains from without inward. Sticking pains inward. Trachoma with pannus. Is. Caries of ossicular and of mastoid. Obstinate fetid otoroa after scarlatina. External meatus bathed. Aurum metallicum in pus. Chronic nerve deafness, labyrinthine disease due to syphilis. Nose. Ulcerated, painful, swollen, obstructed. Inflammation of nose, caries, fetid discharge, cluent, bloody. Boring pains in nose, worse at night. Putrid smell from nose. Sensitive smell. Caul. AC. Horrible odor from nose and mouth. Knobby tip of nose. Mouth. Foul breath in girls at puberty. Taste putrid or bitter. Ulceration of gums. Face. Tearing in zygoma. Mastoid and other facial bones inflamed. Throat. Stitches when swallowing, pain in glands. Caries of the palate. Stomach. Appetite and thirst increased, with qualmishness. Swelling of epigastrium. Burning at stomach and hot eruptations. Abdomen. Right hypochondrium hot and painful. Incarcerated flatus. Swelling and suppuration of inguinal glands. Urine. Turbid, like buttermilk, with thick sediment. Painful retention. Rectum. Constipation, stools hard and knotty. Nocturnal diarrhea, with burning in rectum. Male. Pain and entveckling of testicles. chronic induration of testicles, violent erections, atrophy of testicles in Hoys, hydrocele, female, great sensitiveness of vagina, uterus enlarged and prolapsed, sterility, vaginismus, heart, sensation as if the heart stopped beating for 2 or 3 seconds, immediately followed by a tumultuous rebound, with sinking at the epigastrium palpitation, pulse rapid, feeble, irregular, hypertrophy, respiratory, dislight, frequent, deep breathing, stitches in sternum, bones, destruction of bones, like secondary syphilis, caries of the nasal, palatine, and mastoid bones. Extremities. All the blood seems to rush from head to lower limbs. Dropsy of lower limbs. Orgasm. Blood were boiling in all veins. Paralytic, tearing pains in joints. Knees weak. Sleep. Sleepless. Sobs aloud in sleep. Frightful dreams. Modalities. IVC, in cold weather when getting cold. Many complaints come on only in winter, from sunset to sunrise. Relationship. Compare, or. Ars. Chronic otitis, lupus, phthisis, encephalitic headaches, also in anemia and chlorosis. It causes rapid increase of appetite. Or. Brom. In headaches with neurasthenia, megrim, night terrors, valvular diseases. Or. Myrrh. Burning, yellow, acrid leukocia, heart symptoms, glandular affections, warts on tongue and genitals, sclerotic and exudative degeneration of the nervous system. Multiple sclerosis. Morvan's disease. Second trituration. Or. Myrrh. Is a psychotic remedy, causing suppressed discharges to reappear. Valuable in climacteric hemorrhages from the womb. He tilde drastinin. Stitching pain in left side of forehead, weariness, aversion to all work. Drawing feeling in stomach. Or. Myrrh. Kali. Double chloride of potassium and gold. In uterine induration and hemorrhage. Or. Iod. Chronic pericarditis, valvular diseases, arteriosclerosis, ozana, lupus, osteitis, ovarian cysts, myomata uteri, are pathological lesions that offer favorable ground for the action of this powerful drug, senile paresis. 114 Aurum met. Or. Myrrh. Nat. Avana sativa or. Sulf. Paralysis agitans. Constant nodding of the head, affections of mommy, swelling, pain, cracked nipples with lancinating pains. Also, a safcot. In caries of bones of ears and nose. Syphilin, Kaliiod, Hep, Merc, Mercur, NIT. AC, Phosphate. Antidotes, Bell, Cinch, Kappa, Merc dose. 3rd to 30th potency. Aurum muriaticum nitronatum sodium chloroaurate. This remedy has a most pronounced effect on the female organs, and most of its clinical application has been based thereon. Psoriasis syphilitica. Periostal swelling on lower jaw. Swelling of testicle. High blood pressure due to disturbed function of nervous anism. Arterio SCLCRN syphilita ataxia. Tongue. Burning, stitches, and induration. Female. Indurated cervix. Coldness in abdomen. Chronic metritis and prolapsus. Uterus fills up whole pelvis. Ulceration of neck of womb and vagina. Leucera, with spasmodic contraction of vagina. Ovaries indurated. Ovarian dropsy. Subinvolution. Dose. 2nd and 3rd trituration. Avana sativa commonote has a selective action on brain and nervous system, favorably influencing their nutritive function. IVA's exhaustion, sexual debility, and the morphine habit call for this remedy in rather material dose 1 carat best tonic for debility after exhausting diseases. Nerve tremors of the aged, chorea, paralysis agitans. Avena sativa azadracienta indica epilepsy. Post-diphtheritic paralysis. Rheumatism of heart. Colds. Alcoholism. Sleeplessness, especially of alcoholics. Bad effects of morphine habit. Nervous states of many female troubles. Mind. Inability to keep mind on any one subject. Head. Nervous headache at menstrual period, Whitley burning at top of head. Occipital headache, with phosphatic urine. Female. Amenorrhea and dysmenorrhea, with weak circulation. Male. Spermatorrhea, impotency, after too much indulgence. Extremities. Numbness of limbs, as if paralyzed. Strength of hand diminished. Relationship. Compare alfalfa. General tonic similar to Avena, also in scanty and suppressed urine. Dose. Tincture 10 to 20 drop doses, prefer, ably in hot water. Azadrachta indica margasa bark. An afternoon fever and rheumatic pains in various parts are caused by this remedy. Pain in sternum and ribs, in back and shoulders and extremities, heat, pricking and aching in hands, especially palms, fingers, also toes. Head. Forgetful, giddy on rising, head aches, scalp sensitive, eyes burn, pain in right eyeball. Fever. Slight chill, afternoon fever, glowing heat in face, hands and feet, copious sweat on upper puri of body. Relationship. Compare, cedron, nata. Myrrh. Bacillinum a maceration of a typical tuberculous lung, introduced by Dr. Burnett has been employed successfully in the treatment of tuberculosis, its good effects seen in the change of the sputum, which becomes decreased and more aerated and less pullulant. Many forms of chronic non-tubercular disease are influenced favorably by bacillinum, especially when bronchuria and dyspnea are present, TKC patient expectorates less. Bacillinum is especially indicated for lungs of old people, with chronic catarrhal condition, and enfeebled pulmonary circulation, attacks of suffocation at night, a / if difficult cough. Tubercular meningitis. Favors falling off of tartar of teeth. Stand disposition to take cold. Head. Irritable, depressed. Severe, deep in headache, also as of a tight hoop. Ringworm. Eczema of eyelids. Abdomen. Abdominal pains, enlarged glands in groins, tabes mesenterica. Sudden diarrhea before breakfast. Obstinate constipation, with offensive flatus respiratory. Oppression. Catarrhal dyspnea. Humid asthma. Bubbling rails and inuco-pullulant expectorati. Note. This mucoplulant expectoration of bronchitic patients is equally polybacillary. It is a mixture of diverse species and hence bacillinum is truly indicated. Cartier. Often relieves congestion of the lungs, thus paving way for other remedies in tuberculosis. T-carrot skin. Ringworm of the scalp. Pityriasis. Eczema pit carrot eyelids. Glands of neck enlarged and tender. F-carrot caudalities. Ivers, night and early morning, cold. Bacillinum Badiaga relationship. Antimon. Iod, lac, arsenic, iod, myosotes. L-Civico, 5 to 10 drops, follows as an intercurrent where much debility is present. Burnett. Complementary, calc, phos, calicar-H. Compare, its effects seem to be identical to that of Koch's tuberculinum. Both are useful in the tubercular diathesis before phthisis has developed. In the early stages of tubercular disease of glands, joints, skin and bones. Pseurinum seems to be its chronic equivalent. Bacillin. Testium acts especially on lower half of the body. Dose. The dose is important. Should not be given below the 30th, and not repeated frequently. 1 dose a week, often sufficient to bring about reaction. It is rapid in action and good results ought to be seen soon, otherwise there is no need of repetition. Boericke fresh water sponge soreness of muscles and integuments, worse emotion and friction of clothes, with sensitiveness to cavity. Glands swollen. General paresis. Head. Sensation of enlargement and fullness. Pain in forehead and temple, extending to eyeballs. Worse in afternoon. Blueness under eyes. Dandruff. Scalp sore, dry, tetter-like. Dull, dizzy feeling in head. Coryza, sneezing, watery discharge, with asthmatic breathing and suffocative cough. Influenza. Slight sounds arc greatly accentuated eyes minus twitching of left upper lid, eyeballs tender, aching in eyeballs. Intermittent sore pain in eyeball, coming on at 3 p. M. Respiratory. Cough, worse in afternoon, better in warm room. The mucus flies out of mouth and nostrils. Boericke balsamum peruvinum whooping cough, with thick LQW expectoration, flies out. Ha 3 ever, with asthmatic breathing. Pleuritic stitches in chest, neck and back. Stomach. Mouth hot. Much thirst. Lancinating pain in pit of stomach extending to vertebra al scapula. Female. Metrorrhagia, worse at night, with feeling of enlargement of head. ARG. Cancer of Briel. Astrias, carboan, plum, iod. Heart. Indescribable bad feeling about the head with soreness and pain, flying stitches all over. Skin. Sore to touch. Freckles. Ragades. Back. Minus stitches in nape, scapulae. Pain in small of back. Hips and asterisk lower limbs. Very stiff neck. Muscles and skin sore, as if beaten. Modalities. Worse by cold. Better, by heat, relationship. Compare, mere, similar, but opposite modalities. Sponger. Callihide. Fittle, conium. Complementary, sulf, merc, iod. Dose. 1st to 6th attenuation. Balsamum peruvinum Peruvian balsam, useful in bronchial catarrh, with copious, pullant expectoration. Debility. Hectic fever 6x. Nose. Profuse, thick discharge. Eczema, with ulceration. Chronic, fetid, nasal catarrh. Stomach. Vomiting of food and mucus. Catarrh of stomach. Chest. Bronchitis, anthysis, with mucoplulant. Thick, creamy expectoration. Loud rails in chest. Calisulf and tart. Very loose cough. Hectic fever and night sweats, with irritating, short cough and scanty expectoration. Balsam teruvinum baptis for urine. Scanty, much mucus sediment. Catarrh of bladder. Clermaph. Relationship. Balsavium tolutinum chronic bronchitis with profuse expectoration. Olum caryophyllum oil of cloves in profuse, septic expectoration 3 to 5 minims in milk or capsules. Dose. 1st attenuation, in hectic 6x. Extra homeopathic uses locally, as a stimulant to raw surfaces in indolent ulcers, scalloids, cracked nipples, ragades, itch. Internally, as an expectorant, in chronic bronchitis. Dose, 5 to 15 meters, made into an emulsion with mucilage or yolk of egg. Baptisia wild indigo, the symptoms of this drug are of an asthenic type, simulating low fevers, septic conditions of the blood, malarial poisoning, and extreme prostration. Indescribable sick feeling. Great muscular soreness and putrid phenomena always are present. All the secretions are offensive: breath, stool, urine, sweat, etc. Epidemic influenza. Chronic intestinal loxamias of children with fetid stools and eructations. Bacteria in low dilutions produces a form of embodies to the back. Typhosis, viz., the agglutinins. Melon. Thus it raises the natural bodily resistance to the invasion of the bacillary intoxication, which produces the typhoid syndrome. Typhoid carriers. After inoculation with anti-typhoid serum. Intermittent pulse, especially in the aged. Mind. Wild, wandering feeling. Inability to think. Brain fag. Ideas confused. Thinks he is broken or double. Carrot and tosses about the bed triage to get pieces together, cage butt. Delirium, wandering, muttering. Baptisia, perfect indifference. Falls asleep while being spoken to. Melancholia, with stupor. Head. Confused, swimming feeling. Vertigo, pressure at root of nose. Skin of forehead feels tight, seems drawn to back of head. Feels too large. Heat/y, numb. Soreness of eyeballs. Brain feels sore. Stupor, falls asleep while spoken to. Early deafness in typhoid conditions. Face. Besotted look. Dark red. Pain at root of nose. Muscles of jaw rigid. Mouth W taste flat, bitter. Teeth and gums sore, ulcerated. Breath fetid. Tongue feels burned, yellowish-brown, edges red and shining. Dry and brown in center, with dry and glistening edges, surface cracked and sore. Can schloive liquids only, least solid food gags. Throat. Dark retina.s of tonsils and soft palate. Constriction, contraction of esophagus. Cage butt / great difficulty in swallowing solid food. Painless sore throat, and offensive discharge. Contraction at cardiac orifice. Stomach. No appetite. Constant desire for water. Sinking feeling at stomach. Pain in epigastric region. Feeling of hard substance. A bee's nig. All symptoms worse from beer. Calibite cardiac orifice contracted convulsively and ulcerative inflammation of stomach and bowels. Abdomen. Right side markedly affected. Distended and rumbling. Soreness over region of gallbladder with diarrhea. Stools very offensive. Thin, dark, bloody. Soreness of abdomen in region of liver. Discarrot entry of old people. Female. Threatened miscarriage from mental depression. Shock, watching, low fevers. Menses too early, too profuse. Lochia acrid, fetid. Puplal fever. Respiratory. Lungs feel compressed, breathing difficult. Fears going to sleep on account of nightmare and sense of suffocation * constriction of chest. Back and extremities. Neck tired. Stiffness and pain, aching and drawing in arms and legs. Pain in sacrum, around hips and legs. Sore and bruised. Decubitus. Sleep. Sleepless and restless. Nightmare and frightful dreams. Cannot get herself together, feels scattered about bed. Falls asleep while answering a question. Skin. Livid spots all over body and limbs. Burning and heat in skin. Arsenic. Putrid ulcers with stupor. Low delirium and prostration. Fever. Chill, with rheumatic pains and soreness all over body. Heat all over, with occasional chills. Chill about 11 a.m. typhus fever. Shipboard fever. Modalities. Worse, humid heat, fog, indoors. Relationship. Compare, alienus differs, being more painful. Baptisia more painless. Rus, muriat. Acid. Arsenic. Brian. Arnica. Eschenake. Baptisia confusia. Pain in right jaw, and oppression in left hypochondrium, producing dyspnea and necessity to assume a erect position. Dose. Tincture, to TJ Velf, attenuation. Erosma buccal, marked specific effects on genitourinary system, mucopluent discharges. Irritable bladder, with vesical catarrh, prostatic disorders. Gravel. Leukorrhea. Relationship. Compare, copaiva, thuja, populus, shamath. Dose. Tincture or tea from leaves. Baryta acetica barytocarb. Baryta acetica acetate of baryta, mind. Forgetful, wavering long between opposite resolutions. Face. Feeling of cobweb in face. Extremities. Drawing pain down whole left leg crawling, with burning stitches. Paralysis. Dose. Second and third trituration. Barytocarb carbonate of baryta. This remedy brings aid to scrofulous children, especially if they are backward mentally and physically, are dwarfish, do not grow and develop, have scrofulous ophthalmia, swollen abdomen, take cold easily, and then Aves have swollen tonsils. Persons subject to quinsy which is prone to suppurate, gums bleed easily. Diseases F. Old men, when degenerative changes begin, who have hypertrophied prostate or indurated testes, very sensitive to cold, offensive foot sweats, very weak and weary, must sit or lie down or lean on something. Very averse to meeting strangers, catarrh of posterior rieres, with frequent epistaxis. Often useful in the dyspepsias of the young who have masturbated and who suffer from seminal emissions, together with cardiac irritability and palpitation. Affects glandular structures, and useful in general degenerative changes, especially in coats of arteries, aneurysm, and senility. Baryta is cardiovascular poison acting on the muscular coats of heart and dot cells. Arterial fibrosis. Blood vessels soften and degenerate, become distended, and aneurysms, ruptures, and apoplexies result. Baryta cause. Mind. Loss of memory, mental weakness. Irresolute. Lost confidence in himself. Senile dementia. Confusion. Bashful. Aversion to strangers. Childish. Grief over trifles. Head. Vertigo, stitches, when standing in the sun, extending through head. Brain feels as if loose. Hair falls out. Confusion. Wens. Eyes. Alternate dilatation and contraction of pupils. Photophobia. Gauze before eyes. Cataracts. Cac. Phos. Sil. Excess. Hardness of hearing. Crackling noise. Glands around cars painful and swollen. Reverberation on blowing nose. Nose dry, sneezing, coryza, with shgling of upper lip and nose. Sensation of smoke in nose. Discharge of thick, yellow mucus. Frequent bleeding. Scabs around wings of nose. Face. Pale, puffed, sensation as of cobweb. Alumina, upper lip swollen. Mouth. Awakes with dry mouth. Gums bleed and retract. Teeth ache before menses. Mouth filled with inflamed vesicles, foul taste. Paralysis of tongue. Smarting, burning pain in tip of tongue. Dribbling of saliva at dawn. Throat. Submaxillary glands and tonsils swollen. Takes cold easily, svith. Stitches and smarting pain. Quinsy, suppurating tonsils from every cold. Tonsils inflamed, with sutulan veins. Smarting carrot pain when swallowing, worse empty swallowing. Feeling of a plug in pharynx. Can only swallow liquids. Spasm of esophagus as soon as food enters esophagus, causes gagging and choking. murk, core, graphite. Throat troubles from overuse of voice. Stinging pain in tonsils, pharynx or larynx. Baritocarb. Stomach. Water brush, hiccup, and eructatia carrot which relieves pressure as of a stone. Hungry, but refuses food. Pain and weight immediately after a meal, with epigastric tenderness. Calocarb. Worse after warm food. Abdomen. Hard and tense, distended. Colicky. Enlarged mesenteric glands. Pain in abdomen swallowing food. Habitual colic, with hunger, but food is refused. Rectum. Constipation, with hard, knotty stools. Hemorrhoids protrude on urinating. Crawling in rectum. Oozing at anus. Urinary. Every time patient urinates, his piles come down. Urging to urinate. Burning in urethra on urinating. Male. Diminished desire and premature impotence. Enlarged prostate. 2 arg. NIT, digit. Female. Before menses, pain in stomach and small of back. Menses scanty. Respiratory. Dry, suffocative cough, especially in old people. Larynx feels as if smoke were inhaled. Chronic aphonia. Stitches in chest, worse, inspiration. Lungs feel full of smoke. Heart palpitation and distress in region of heart. Aneurysm. Lycop. Accelerates the heart's action at first. Blue caret JJ caret S are much increased. Contracti on of blood vessels. Palpitation when lying on left side, when thinking of it especially, pulse full and hard. Cardiac symptoms after suppressed foot sweat. Back. Estvolen glands in nape of occiput. Fatty tumors about neck. Bruised pain between scapulae. Stiffness in sacrum. Weakness of spine. Baritocarb. Baritolod. Baritomir. 125 extremities. Pain in axillary glands. Cold. Clammy feet. Calc-fetid foot sweats. Numbness of limbs. Numb feeling from knees to scrotum, disappears when sitting down. Toes and soles sore, soles painful when walking. Pain in joints, burning pains in lower limbs. Sleep. Talking in sleep, awakens frequently, feels too hot. Twitching during sleep. Modalities. Worse, while thinking of symptoms, from washing, lying on painful side. Better, walking in open air. Relationship. Compare. Digitalis. Radium. Aragulus. Oxytrop. Astrag. Complementary. Dulc. Silica. Surin. Incompatible. Calc antidote for poisonous doses. Epsom salts. Dose. 3rd to 30th potency, the latter to remove the predisposition to quinsy. Baryta-lodata iodide of baryta, acts on the lymphatic system, increased leukocytosis. Quinsy. Indurated glands, especially tonsils. Stromus ophthalmia, with tumefaction of cervical glands and stunted growth. Relationship. Compare, Ian, licotinum swelling of cervical, axillary, and mammary glands. Lapis, con, merc, iod, carboan. Dose. 2nd and 3rd trituration. Baryta muriatica barium chloride. The different salts of baryta are called for inorganic lesions of the aged and dwarfish, both mentally and physically. Arteriosclerosis and cerebral affections due to this condition. Headaches, but without. Baryta muriatica acute crisis. Oxyrhynch in old people, heaviness rather than pain. Vertigo, due to cerebral anemia and noises in ears. Cartier. Acts on lower alimentary canal, especially rectum, on muscles and joints, giving stiffness and weakness as from overwalking. The white blood corpuscles increased leukocytes. Increased tension of pulse. Arteriosclerosis aurum, secal, where a high systolic pressure, with a comparatively low diastolic tension, is attended by cerebral and cardiac symptoms. This remedy has indurated and narrowing of the cardiac orifice with pain, immediately after eating, and epigastric tenderness, which has been repeatedly verified, also its use in aneurysm and chronic hypertrophy of the tonsils. Nymphomania and satriasis. In every form of mania when the sexual desire is increased. I see rolled carrot IS of body, with paralysis. Multiple sclerosis of brain and cord. Voluntary muscular poiver gone, but perfectly sensible. Paresis after influenza and diphtheria. General feeling of lassitude in the morning, especially weakness of the legs, with muscular stiffness. Children who go around with their mouth open and who talk through the nose. Stupid appearing, hard of hearing. Is. Whizzing and buzzing. Noises on chewing and swallowing, or sneezing. Erake. Better sipping cold water. Parotid swollen. Offensive otoroa. Inflates middle ear on blowing nose. Throat. Difficult swallowing. Tonsils enlarged. Paresis of pharynx and eustachian tubes, with sneezing and noises. Tubes feel too wide open. Respiratory. Bronchial affections of old people with cardiac dilatation facilitates expectoration. Great accumulation and rattling of mucus with difficult expectoration. Arteriosclerosis of the lung, thus in senile asthma modifies the arterial tension. Barata muriatica belladon na stomach. Gone feeling at epigastrium, a good guiding symptom for it in chronic affections. Retching and vomiting. Sensation of heat ascending to head. Urine. Great increase in uric acid, diminution of chlorides. Abdomen. Throbbing, induration of pancreas, abdominal aneurysm. Inguinal glands swollen. Spasmodic pain in rectum. Relationship. Comparing sclerotic degenerations, especially of spinal cord, liver and heart. Plumbum met. And plum, iod. Also aurum mea. Which will often accomplish more in sclerotic and exudative degenerations than other remedies. Multiple sclerosis, fulgurating pains, tremors, Morvan's disease, hypertrophy of fingers. Dose. Third trituration. Belladonna deadly nightshade. Belladonna acts upon every part of the nervous system, producing active congestion, furious excitement, perverted special senses, twitching, convulsions and pain. It has a marked action on the vascular system, skin and glands. Belladonna always is associated with hot, red skin, flushed ears, glaring eyes, throbbing carotids, excited mental state, hyperesthesia of all senses, delirium, restless sleep, convulsive movements, dryness of mouth and throat with aversion to water, neuralgic pains that come and go suddenly. Oxytropies. Heat, redness, throbbing and burning. Great carrot child R carrot and asterisk S remedy. Epileptic spasms followed by nausea and vomiting. Scarlet fever and also prophylactic. Here use the 30th potency. Exophthalmic goiter. Belladonna corresponds to the symptoms of asterisk air sickness in aviators. Give as preventive. No thirst, anxiety or fear. Belladonna stands for violence of attack and suddenness of onset. Mind. Patient lives in a world of his own, engrossed by specters and visions and oblivious to surrounding realities. While the retina is insensible to actual objects, a host of visual hallucinations throng about him and come to him, from within. He is acutely alive and crazed by a flood of subjective visual impressions and fantastic illusions. Hallucinations, sees monsters, hideous faces. Delirium, frightful images, furious, rages, bites, strikes, desire to escape. Loss of consciousness. Disinclined to talk. Perversity, with tears. Acuteness of all senses. Head. Vertigo, with falling to left side or backwards. Sensitive to least contact. Much throbbing and heat. Pain, fullness, especially in forehead, also occiput and temples. Headache from suppressed guttural flow. Sudden outcries. Pain worse light, noise, jar, lying dosfien and in afternoon, better by pressure and semi-erect posture. Boring of head into pillow, drawn backward and rolls from side to side. Constant moaning. Hair splits, is dry and comes out. Headache worse on right side and when lying down, from having hair cut. Face red, hot, swollen, shining, convulsive motion of muscles of face. Swelling of upper lip. Eyes. Throbbing deep in eyes on lying down. Pupils dilated. Agnes carrot eyes feel swollen and protruding, staring, brilliant, conjunctiva red, dry, burn, carrot photophobia, shooting in eyes. Ocular illusions, fiery appearance. Diplopia, squinting, spasmj of lids carrot sensation as if eyes were half closed. Eyelids swollen, L carrot undoes congested. Ease. Tearing pain. Humming noises. Membrana tympani bulges and injected. Carotid gland swollen. Sensitive to loud tones. Hearing very acute. Otitis media. Pain causes delirium. Child cries out in sleep, throbbing and beating pain deep in ear, synchronous with heartbeat. Nose. Imaginary odors. Tingling in tip of nose. Red and swollen. Bleeding of nose, with red face. Coryza. Mucus mixed with blood. Mouth. Dry. Throbbing pain in teeth. Gum boil. Tongue red on edges. Strawberry tongue. Grinding of teeth. Tongue swollen and painful. Stammering. Strum. Throat. Dry, as if glazed, angry-looking congestion ginseng, red worse on right side. Tonsils enlarged, throat feels constricted, difficult deglutition, worse, liquids. Sensation of a lump. Syphagus dry, feels contracted. Spasms in throat. Continual inclination to swallow. Scraping sensation. Muscles of deglutition very sensitive. Stomach. Loss of appetite. Averse to meat and milk. Spasmodic pain in epigastrium. Constriction. Pain runs to spine. Nausea and vomiting. Great thirst for cold water. Spasms of stomach. Empty retching. Abhorrence of liquids. Spasmodic hiccup. Aversion to sphater. Dread of drinking. Uncontrollable vomiting. Abdomen. Distended, hot. Transverse colon protrudes like a pad. Tender, swollen. Pain as if clutched by a hand, worse. Jar, pressure. Cutting pain across, stitches in left side of abdomen, when coughing, sneezing, or touching it. Extreme sensitiveness to touch, bedclothes, etc. Lax, stools. Thin, green, dysenteric, in lumps like chalk. Shuddering during stool. Stinging pain in rectum. Belladonna spasmodic stricture. Piles more sensitive with backache. Prolapsus ana. Jagnatia. Pod off. Urine. Sensation of motion in bladder as of a worm. Urine scanty, with tenesmus, dark and turbid, loaded with phosphates. Vesicle region sensitive. Incontinence, continuous dropping. Frequent and profuse. Male. Testicles hard, drawn up, inflamed. Nocturnal sweat of genitals. Flow of prostatic fluid. Desire diminished. Female. Sensitive forcing downwards, as if all the teeth iskra would protrude at genitals. Dryness and heat of vagina. Dragging around loins. Pain in sacrum. Menses increased, bright red, too early, too profuse. Ilsmarage hot. Cutting pain from hip to hip. Menses and lochia 7 free, offensive and hot. Labor pains come and go suddenly. Mastitis pain, throbbing, redness, streaks radiate from nipple. Breasts feel heavy, are hard and red. Tumors or breast, pain worse lying down. Badly smelling hemorrhages, hot gushes of blood. Diminished lochia. Respiratory. Drying in nose, fauces, larynx, and trachea. Tickling. Short, dry cough, worse at night. Larynx feels sore. Respiration oppressed. Quick. Unequal. Chain-Stokes respiration cocaine, opium. Hoarse, loss of voice. Painless hoarseness. Cough with pain in left hip. Barking cough, whooping cough, with pain in stomach before attack, with expectoration of blood. Stitches in chest when coughing. Larynx very painful, feels as if a foreign body were in it, with cough. High, piping voice. Moaning at every breath. Heart. Violent palpitation reverberating in head, with labored breathing. Palpitation from least exertion. Throbbing all through body. Dielcrotism. Heart teemed too large. Rapid, but weakened pulse. Extremities. Shooting. Shining, with red streaks radiating. Tottering gait. Shifting rheumatic pains. Phlegmasia alba dolens. Jerking limbs. Spasms. Involuntary limping carrot cold orexia. Evitilics, back. Stiff neck. Cyclia slash of glands of neck. Pain in nape, as if it would break. Pressure on dorsal region most painful. Lumbago, with pain in hips and thighs. Skin. Dry and hot, swollen, sensitive. Burns, scarlet, smooth. Eruption like scarlatina, suddenly spreading. Tristhma, pustules on face. Glands S. Volcien. Tender, red. Boils. Acne rosacea. Suppurative wounds. Atropia has the power of greatly increasing the phagocytic activity of the leukocytes. Fever. A high feverish state WD comparative absence of toxemia burning, pungent heat. Feet icy cold. Superficial blood vessels, distended. Perspiration dry only on head. No thirst IV fever. Sleep.